My name's Mary Reid. I'm the Principal Social Worker for Adult Social Care at Nottinghamshire County Council. My role focuses on developing and ensuring excellent social work practice for the department.
I'm Marion Wardill. I'm a carer for John, who's had multiple sclerosis for 40 odd years, but I've been his prime carer for 17 years, the last 17 years.
We're learning an awful lot together. I think that's what's been so important about the work we've been doing together on our cultural change programme, because we know, and you had experience of this, didn't you, Marion? Your experience of social work has been up and down. And actually, we know that social work over the years has become really deficit focused, very process heavy. We have staff spending so long with bureaucracy and navigating computers. They just don't have time to be spending with people and actually trying to make the difference that they came into this job for, both social workers, occupational therapists, community care officers. And what's really important is that we listen and learn and we develop together and we work together. And I think this has been such an exciting journey for both of us, hasn't it, to sort of look at our practice and how we're practicing and how we can practice better. And obviously, as you know, as a department, we're doing a lot of cultural change. And one thing that we talk about is having a strength-based approach. It basically means focusing on what you can do well, focusing on people's talents, aspirations, assets, what they want to achieve, rather than focusing on the things they can't do, but just focusing on their needs and how we help them, support them to live a better life, really. And 3 Conversations is one approach that we're taking to develop as an organisation, and obviously the work that you've been involved in to try and make a difference. And from the start, that culture of relationships, that culture of listening hard and learning by doing, and staff have actually taken time to think about how they practice, how they engage with communities, how they have conversations with people, what support that person needs at different times in their lives, because that changes and that's on a constant change, isn't it? And it's making sure that we're adapting and approaching situations in a really sort of positive, meaningful way for people. And 3 Conversations is just one way of doing it. And the 3 Conversations approach is basically, how do we work with people, families, carers and communities to help people live a better life? Thinking about what we listen and connect people to in their own community so they feel an active part of their community, how we respond to people in an urgent situation with short-term support or intervention. It could be us as social workers providing that support to people, but then also thinking about how we help people to build a better life. And it comes, as you know, with a series of principles, doesn't it? So we always think about focusing on the person as an expert in their own lives, not us coming to tell people how they should live their life, but people are an expert in their own lives. But also that we always think carer, because we know that a good plan for a carer is a good plan for the person. And if we work together, we've had some lovely experiences through this work, because obviously we have staff that come and share their stories of difference with us and what things that they've done. It's so lovely to hear their enthusiasm and their motivation to work in this different way. And sharing stories where they've worked with the person and the carer together to identify their needs together to build the best support for them going forward. Making sure that people play an active part in their own community and that we understand what's going on in the community, that we're not so isolated, that we're getting out and listening to communities and working with communities to hear how they want adult social care to be in the future. And that's just been so lovely, working with you and working together on that, so we feel like we're making a difference.
I think the difference is huge in that in the times that we've had contact with the various professionals, we felt we've had to fit the mould instead of a mould being made just for us. And also felt that if we didn't answer the questions in a set way, that it would prejudice our benefit, if you like. And also that there was pound signs going across the forehead of the person listening, and that it was so prescriptive that, oh, this person needs 1 hour or 2 hour package or something like that. whereas the more holistic approach is just so sensible and sensitive.
Absolutely, and I think people were coming out assessing people for a specific service in mind, Marion, and actually we're challenging that and saying, well, actually start with a conversation, listen to what's important to the person, and then plan and work with them to think differently about what you're doing. And it is more holistic. It's not with that one service in mind. It's thinking more broadly. We know that it's about, you know, what's out there in the community, what's out there that's important in that person's life that we can build on and strengthen and work with them to, you know, some people will want some additional support to be more independent or as independent as they can be. And it's really important that we just focus on that, not a particular service. As you say, it's much more of a holistic approach.
Well, I've just recently had a carers assessment using that strength-based approach, and the difference between that and the one that I had over the phone, I've had 2 carers assessments, one where the social worker came in and put the laptop down on the table, didn't say hello very much and just went through the form. The same thing happened on the telephone. A lot of the information that she was gathering just wasn't really appropriate to what we needed. She didn't really ever ask what was needed. And so I've just recently had one based on this new approach, which was lovely. It was sitting, chatting like we are now, and having somebody that did prompt so that she got the whole picture of what our situation was. It was a day in the life of Marion and John rather than a form that had to be tick box, tick box, tick box. She probably got all the same information in a way, but in a way that I felt listened to. I know John felt listened to.
And I think that's what's been so lovely about this work. We've been getting feedback from people at the time rather than, you know, hearing any feedback about our work coming through complaints. We're actually hearing feedback at the time and learning and developing our practice at that period of time, which has been so important. And the staff are feeling they're getting a real sense of getting back to the value of why they actually came into this job, to try and make a difference in people's lives. And through doing this work, it's actually giving them that autonomy to work in that way and that ability and time to work in that way. And I know you've spoken to people, haven't you,
Yes.
that have experienced this way of working. So not just your own experience, but you've been talking to other people.
Yes, I spoke on the phone to 5 people, and their experience, they were just as shocked as I'd been about my experience with the carers assessment, because that person actually phoned back, made an appointment and kept the appointment, kept them informed, and some of the tweaks that they made to their care on case of one person, they were really quite small differences, but the small differences are huge.
I think we're on a journey and we will get there. It just takes time. So not everybody's going to see what you've experienced straight away, but with time, hopefully, everybody will experience the good quality of practice that you've experienced and service. And we can see the language changing, can't we? It's really interesting how over the last 18 months, how people are speaking about people and the people that they're working with, their motivation, their passion for coming into work and what makes them care seems to be enlivened again, which is so lovely to see, isn't it? One of our primary aims with 3 Conversations is doing the right thing for people, doing the right thing for our staff and doing the right thing for our resources. Obviously that we're making best use of our resources. And, you know, having you there has been fundamental to getting that right.
Thank you.